Yo, what is going on YouTube? Real quick before I go to bed for work here, there's a bowl in the background. Sorry, I'm kind of poverty. It's got salt in it, wow. But it is GCTV, we are back with another video, and in this video, real quickly, I gotta get going on this. We are here to talk about the 5th episode of Season 3 of Squid Game. Square, triangle, circle is like the title. It's like a bunch of shapes and shit. But man, it is going down. This was a crazy one. We're really getting down to the edge of it, and unfortunately, I would like to just finish this out and watch the 6th episode, but my dad is going on a trip, and he's the one that's been watching Squid Game with me, so we probably won't get to the next episode until Sunday or Monday. We probably won't get a review till Monday or Tuesday, kind of depending on how everything works out. Sorry, my collar was fucked up. Well, let's just kind of talk about this, have a giant conversation. You guys know how it goes. Let's go. So player 100 seems to be kind of like the leader. You know, he's like, all right, if there are no objections, let's go ahead and vote on player 222's elimination, and that's what we kind of get it started off as. Player 100 presents this as an entirely reasonable statement, and that's how it's greeted by his co-conspirators in the final game, and this is just the reality of the show. It's just the fucked up reality. This is it. Like, yeah, let's kill a baby. That's fine. Like, we survive. And the traditions of the nightly decision whether or not to continue playing, they've agreed that a majority vote will settle the matter of whose lives to sacrifice so that the others might live. Again, they're trying to kind of go for this democracy. The last 2 seasons have been all about enforcing this democracy, like this fair stuff, and the players are trying to kind of reflect that, which is kind of an interesting concept in it of itself. Player 100 is trying to get things back on track, keep things nice and orderly according to agreed upon precedent and procedure. He's trying to kind of be not really a dictator, but kind of like a supervisor, kind of watch over everyone, make sure these games go fairly, which when you're watching the episode on paper, that's like, oh nice, he's a good guy for that. No more messy arguments that are beneath our dignity as colleagues. It's time to democratically decide whom to murder. We are voting on who to murder. At the end of the day, you guys are all still fucking evil, so there's no really saving it. Taken together, this show's 2nd and 3rd seasons are one long allegory for sham democracies. I mean, again, that's what they're shooting for. That's kind of the message. You hear how fucked up their logic sounds when it's presented by player 100, right? Vote how they will, the majority can never rightfully take away the rights or the lives of the minority. Our inalienable human rights are just that, unseverable from our status as human beings. It's just a reflection of the government, and I think there's definitely a lot of social commentary here, and I say this in many of the videos. I don't want to get super political, but that's just kind of how it is. That's what they're going for. That's what a lot of TV shows are doing, and movies. I heard Superman try to be kind of political, and that's weird as fuck. I don't think I'm ever going to watch that new movie, but it's fine. They're not subject to vote or plebiscite, to Supreme Court ruling or executive order. They are ours forever. You can no more vote them away than you can vote away the bones curled hard in our fists or the hearts that beat in our chest. But that's the version of democracy that the Squid Game sadistic creators, the in-world ones, I mean not the very nice filmmakers, love you, Won Dong-yuk, have presented their players. It's not dissimilar from the version we've been largely forced to accept here in the real world. Again, just a pure democracy, just a pure like majority wins, no matter if it's right or wrong, in some people's eyes, right, etc., etc. It doesn't matter if some people disagree, that's how it goes. It's just a sham, it's just kind of like the downfall of a democracy. I'd rather have that than a dictatorship, but I digress. Illegitimately condemning other players, people to torment and death because there are more of some than there are of others. The players participate in a series of zero-sum ballots where voters can only conceive of themselves as members of opposing teams since the stakes are so high. And no amount of voting can break the cycle of violence and degradation, not as long as the loathsome mega-rich VIPs, which I haven't really introduced the actors and actresses, by the way. I have their names here. It's David Sayers, Jane Wong, Brian Bucco, Jordan Lambertani, and Kevin Yorn, each of them all almost unbearably obnoxious. You don't want it to continue. The VIPs are cheering it on. Like, I guess the VIPs represent other countries laughing at democracies. I'm not really sure. There's a lot of symbolism here. There's a lot of representation that you could kind of talk about here, and it'd be interesting to kind of continue that in the comments down below. I'm not going to be one of those guys that makes like a Squid Games explained video. You guys can find those on YouTube. I think this is just a good way to recap the episodes and give my thoughts on them. And by this point in the games, it's all been boiled down to its essence. Can you ethically vote to kill a baby, and are the results of that vote binding? Are they going to kill the baby? Again, that's kind of been the central thing ever since the baby survived the jump rope and became a player in her mom's place. I don't mean to give short shrift to the episode's other business, in which Jun-ho rescues player 246 from his pink-suited pursuers at sea, while No-wool takes down her commanding officer, played by Park Hee-soon, a fellow North Korean defector, in her quest to wipe 246's real identity out of the game's records. But this game really freaked me out, man, and it was the big central point of the entire episode, and it's really what they focused on. You can't really blame me here for putting a lot of the focus on the games. They're really talking about it here. Like, again, it's the central point of the whole thing. thing. For starters, it's the strangest game room we've seen yet because it's not an ironically candy-colored children's Fantasia, and I wonder what that represents. Again, let me know in the comments what you guys think, because could it mean like, oh, reality check, the world isn't sunshine and rainbows? I don't know. There's a lot of interpretations. There's a lot of Reddit forums I've seen. Let me know. The entire cavernous space is a dark, dour gray, except for its 3 towers, arrayed in the familiar circle, triangle, square, Squid Game pattern. Shout out to PlayStation. I think at this point, Squid Game and PlayStation have to collab and make a fucking game after all of this advertising they've been doing for them. I mean, my god. But their bright paint has dulled and chipped, and their surfaces are weathered and cracked with age and use. Again, this has to be done on purpose. It's the final game. It's like a reality check. And you kind of notice, like, in the first season and the last set of games, how the final game was pretty dark, like it was raining. So, it's crazy. The last game takes a twist. It's like, boom, no more children shit, no more fucking around, you know? It's deeply unnerving to see structures this concrete and run down after all these episodes of people murdering each other in what looks like fucking Legoland out there. Also, I'll level with you, I'm not necessarily afraid of heights, but falling from high places, episodes like this are scary. It's obviously kind of fucked up and adds to the gravity of it, the disturbingness of it. The entire time the 8 surviving men and a baby were standing around up on those towers, you're thinking, get away from the edge, everyone in the center, sit down, lower your center of gravity, better yet, lie face down and don't move because the terror is too much to take. Just the idea, again, I'm not afraid of heights, but just the idea of someone falling off to their death is kind of fucking creepy. Oh wait, is that last bit just me? That's just me, isn't it? Anyway, the action revolves around the tense debates among the 6 conspiring players. More often than not, this comes down to debates. This comes down to like a moral compass. And I really enjoyed that. I think that was a different turn on the games than what normally is. They need to figure out how to eliminate Minsu, who hallucinates a cameo by sadistic dead rapper Thanos, played by T.O.P., an actual rapper, I believe, Jihan, and Baby 222, without getting dragged over the edge themselves. That was the goal all along. That's what this episode was kind of setting up as. It's kind of the factions. 6 on 3. The matter's complicated by the need to separate Jihan from the baby so they can be eliminated separately. Minsu went out pretty easily, which is sad, obviously, because he was one of the main characters of the episode, but he's kind of on his own. I don't think Jihan was super concerned about him. They didn't really form a relationship here. If you guessed these assholes would both go overboard, attempting to kill too many people at once for their truce to hold up for all 3 rounds and turn on each other, you guessed right. It's kind of crazy. Player 203, played by Choi Guihua, is the most aggro member of the co-conspirators. It's he who gets fed up and tries to knock off Jihan and the baby simultaneously, leading to a full-fledged rumble among the survivors. He was kind of like the macho man. He's kind of like the tough guy out of the group remaining. He also participates in the vicious beating of player 039, played by Woo Jung-kook, which was absolutely fucking brutal, gruesomely maiming his leg. I mean, it was all sorts of fucked up. The idea, proposed by player 100, is to use the man as a lunchbox, which is, oh my god. They'll just carry him to the final platform and dump him over the side, ending the game per its complicated kill or be killed rule set. Jesus Christ. Player 100 was a piece of shit, and we'll get to him in a second. I'm glad he met his fucking fate, because my god, I did not like player 100 at all. The dehumanization is so profoundly awful for the man that he voluntarily kills himself rather than be subjected to that indignity. Rather than being treated like a fucking animal, he falls off the edge by himself. But by then, only Jihan and Myungji remain, while Myungji himself finally putting an end to player 100's reign of error. Turns out Myungji was working to protect Jihan and the baby all along, which you could have kind of guessed. He says as he admits he's the baby's father. Obviously, like a big plot twist to everyone. Like the VIPs were even watching and they're like, what the fuck, you know? But player 039 suicide means that one of the 2 of them must die if the baby is to live. And it sets up for some stakes. I don't really understand this. Like, I know 203 got killed, but like, he's still on the platform. Couldn't they just carry him over and throw him? Did they say he was eliminated? I was confused by that part. That part didn't make much sense to me, but I don't think they were going to murder 039, to be honest with you. I think they would have honestly drawn strings or something, like fairly at the end, because they already got rid of the assholes. Now it's time to play fair. Jihan especially is that kind of guy, as the front man learns when Jihan backs out of stabbing his enemies to death in their sleep the night before the game. We know who Jihan is. He is a moral compass. He is the ultimate moral compass of the show. He is the do good at all times type of character. A flashback reveals that the front man, known then as Wang Yino, didn't have that strength of character. The memory brings tears even to the front man's steely eyes, and it's a very emotional moment to have that flashback. And a lot of this stuff kind of gets breezed past, and they're kind of like, whatever, kind of push it off to the side, but there's some pretty important moments of this show that are very subtle and very effective. No wonder he's been so determined to keep Jihan alive and break his will. Jihan's conduct shames him. Like, he marvels at Jihan's morality, you know? For a certain type of person, it is not enough to do evil. Others must be stopped from doing good. After all, if they can do it, anyone can. And I mean, really good episode. Like, I won't sit here and say this is the best episode of the show, and obviously the ending is already setting up to be kind of fucked up and possibly disappointing like everyone else is saying, but a lot of power here. The front man crying, like, that's awesome. Obviously there is some plot convenience and stuff, you know. I don't know how the fuck 246 got saved out of nowhere. I don't know how he's shooting in this blind ass fog, killing people. Oh wow. I mean, I guess I could have guessed that Inho was gonna catch up to them eventually, given that he's so close to the island, but the time it happened, it's like, come on, are we in a comic book film? Like, that was a bit much. A lot of weird things going on here. Hopefully they clean it up in the last episode. Again, critically, it doesn't seem like they did so. And wow, this video was all done in one take. What an accomplishment for your boy, but we'll have to see. Again, it's just piqued curiosity. I don't really care, like, disappointment. It's only 6 episodes of a season. I'm not going to be disappointed if they end it the way that everyone else is kind of saying they are, but it's just going to be interesting to see where they go with this. So with that being said, I think I am out. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. GZTV. Interesting stuff. Again, a lot of things need to be cleared up. Obviously, Myungji versus Jihan. I could have guessed Jihan and the baby at least were probably going to make it to the end, but Myungji, I don't know if I could have guessed him. Maybe they're the two kind of the strongest characters, and it kind of shows here. Check out my socials, do all that stuff for streaming all weekend. I'm probably going to get into the MCU a little bit more as my dad is on his trip, so we're going to take a little bit of a break. And then obviously Dexter Resurrections is going to come out weekly, so we'll have a weekly review for that. I'm out, guys.